The Happy Prince is one of the very famous stories written by Oscar Wilde. The statue of the Happy Prince stood high above the city. It was covered with gold, its eyes were bright blue jewels, and a red jewel hung from its vest. Everyone thought it was very beautiful. "Why aren't you like the Happy Prince?" mothers said to their little boys when they cried. Sad men looked at the statue and said, "I'm glad that someone in the world is happy." One night a little bird flew alone over the city. The other birds were all in Egypt now. "Where can I stay tonight?" he thought. Then he saw the statue. "I'll stay there," he thought. "It is high up, so there is plenty of fresh air." He landed between the feet of the Happy Prince. "I have a golden bedroom," he thought. But as he put his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. He looked up. "That is very strange," he thought. "There is not a cloud in the sky, but it is raining." Then another drop fell. "I cannot stay on a statue that does not keep me dry," he thought. "I must find another place." And he decided to fly away. But as he opened his wings, a third drop fell. He looked up and saw. What did he see? The eyes of the Happy Prince were full of tears. Tears ran down his golden face. The face was very beautiful in the moonlight, and the bird felt sorry for him. "Who are you?" asked the bird. "I am the Happy Prince." "Then why are you crying?" "I am wet with your tears." "When I was alive," said the prince, "I had a heart like every other man, but I did not know what tears were. I lived in a palace where there was no sadness. In the daytime I played with my friends in a beautiful garden, and in the evening I danced. There was a high wall round the garden, but I did not know what lay on the other side. So I was called the Happy Prince. I was pleased with my little world. Now I am dead, and they have put me up here. I can see all the unhappiness of my city. My heart now is made of cheap metal, but even that poor heart can feel, and so I cry." "Oh," said the bird to himself, "he is not all gold. He is only gold on the outside." "Far away from here," said the Happy Prince in a low voice, "there is a poor house in a little street. Through an open window I can see a woman at a table. Her face is very thin, and she has rough, red hands. She is making a dress for one of the queen's ladies for a dance in the palace. Very little boy is lying on a bed in the corner of the room. He is very ill. He is crying because she can only give him water from the river. Little bird, will you take my red jewel to her? I cannot move from here. My friends are waiting for me in Egypt," said the bird. "Little bird," said the prince, "please stay with me for one night and do this for me. The boy is crying and his mother is so unhappy." The Happy Prince looked very sad, and the little bird was sorry for him. "It is very cold here," he said, "but I'll stay with you for one night. Tomorrow I'll take the jewel." "Thank you, little bird," said the prince. So the bird took the great red jewel from the prince's vest and flew away with it over the roofs of the town. He passed the palace and heard the sound of dancing. A beautiful girl was at a window with her lover. "I hope my dress will be ready for the dance next week," she said. "Those women are so lazy." The bird passed over the river and flew and flew. At last he came to the poor little house and looked inside. The boy was lying on the bed. The mother was asleep. She was so tired. He flew in and put up the great red jewel on the table. Then he flew round the bed, moving the air round the boy's face with his wings. "Oh," said the boy, "my face does not feel so hot. I think I am getting better." And he fell asleep. Then the bird flew back to the Happy Prince. "It is strange," the bird said. "It is very cold, but I feel quite warm." "That is because you have done a good thing," said the prince. The little bird fell asleep. When day came, the bird flew down to the river for a bath. A clever man saw him. "That is very unusual," he said. "That kind of bird here in winter? I must write that down." "I will go to Egypt tonight," thought the bird. While the moon came up, he flew back to the happy prince. Can I do something for you in Egypt? He said. Little bird, said the prince. Please, will you stay with me for one more night? My friends are waiting for me, answered the bird. Far away across the city, said the prince, I can see a young writer in a little room at the top of a house. He is waiting at a table that is covered with papers. At his side there are some dead flowers. He is trying to finish a story, but he is very cold and he cannot write. There is no fire in the room, and he is weak and hungry. I'll wait with you for one more night, said the bird kindly. What shall I take to him? Take him one of my eyes, said the prince. They are made of beautiful blue stones from India. The young man can sell it and buy wood and food. He can finish his story. Take out your eye, dear prince, said the bird. I cannot do that. And he began to cry. Do it, said the prince. So the bird took out the prince's eye and flew away to the young man's room. It was easy to get in because there was a hole in the roof. The young man was sitting with his head in his hands, so he did not hear the bird's wings. When he looked up, a beautiful blue jewel was lying on the dead flowers. Someone like my stories, he cried happily. This is a gift from someone who has read my books. Now I can finish writing this story. On the next day, the bird flew down to the river. He watched seamen working on the ships. I'm going to Egypt, he cried, but no one listened to him. When the moon came up, he flew back to the happy prince. I have come to say goodbye to you, he said. Little bird, said the prince. Will you stay with me for one more night? It is winter, answered the bird. The snow will come soon. In Egypt, the sun is warm, the trees are green. Dear prince, I must leave you, but I'll never forget you. A little girl is standing there in the square below. She is selling eggs. Her eggs have fallen on the ground and they are broken. She has no memory. She has no money to take home. Her father will hit her. Take out my other eye and give it to her. I will stay with you for one more night, said the bird, but I cannot take your other eye. You will not be able to see. Do it, said the prince. So the bird took out prince's other eye and flew down with it. He flew to the girl and put the jewel in her hand. This is a beautiful piece of glass, said the girl. She ran home laughing. When the bird flew back to the prince, you cannot see now, he said, so I will stay with you. No, said the poor prince, you must go to Egypt. I will stay with you, repeated the bird, and he slept at the prince's feet. The next day he stayed with the prince. He told the prince stories about the strange lands that he knew. Dear little bird, said the prince, you are telling me about strange and wonderful things, but the suffering of men and women is stranger than anything. Fly over my city, little bird, tell me what you see there. So the swallow flew over the great city. He saw the rich eating and drinking in their beautiful houses. He saw the poor people sitting at the gate. He flew into the dark streets and saw the white faces of hungry children with sad eyes. Under a bridge, two little boys were lying close together to keep warm. We are so hungry, they said. You cannot lie there, shouted a guard. Then the bird flew back and told the prince. I am covered with fine gold, said the prince. Take it off piece by piece and give it to my poor people. The bird pulled off the gold until the happy prince looked grey and ugly. The bird took the gold to the poor and the children's faces became brighter. We have bread now, they cried. Then the snow came, ice followed the snow and hung down from the roofs of the houses. Everyone wore thick clothes. The little bird became colder. He did not leave the prince because he loved him too much, but he was dying. Goodbye, dear prince, he said. Can I kiss you? I'm glad that you're going to Egypt, said the prince. You have stayed too long. Kiss me because I love you. I'm not going to Egypt, said the bird. I'm going to the house of death. He kissed the prince and fell down dead at his feet. Then there was a strange sound inside the statue. Crack. The metal heart broke into two pieces. Next morning, an important man in the city was walking below with two of his friends. He looked up at the statue. The happy prince does not look very bright, he said. The red stone has disappeared. His eyes are not there, and he is not golden. He looks like a beggar. Yes, he does, said the man's friends. Here is a dead bird at his feet, said the officer. We must take an order that birds cannot die here. They pulled down the statue of the happy prince and put it in the fire. A stream of bright metal ran out. This is strange, said the workmen. This broken piece in the middle of the statue had stayed hard. We must throw it away. So they threw it away with the dead bird. God said to his servants, Bring me the two best things in the city. They brought him the broken heart and the dead bird. Yes, you have brought the right things, God said. This little bird will sing forever in my garden, and the happy prince will stand in my city of gold. The happy prince did not know the sadness and the miseries of the world. It's a very beautiful story highlighting the sacrifices people make for their near and dear ones, and there are many people who sacrifice their very close things for unknown people. They help people around. I will go for a short analysis of this story, as the story is very close to my heart. I feel the happy prince was very happy when he was alive. But as his statue was made, he could witness the insecurities of life and how miserable people were, especially the commoners who were trying hard to keep up with their daily lives. The beginning sets up the central themes of greed and superficiality of beauty, which the later plot will elaborate. The backstory of the swallow falling in love with the reed shows the artificial romantic aspirations. Though his aspirations to go to Egypt depicts the selfish nature, but at a certain point he is ready to put everything in ground just for his friendship with the happy prince. The swallow's transformation into a morally upright being also culminates here in his promise to remain by the prince's side. This is a great act of sacrifice. The swallow knows that he will not survive through the winter, but he decides to stay by the side of the prince, and that proves the depth of his love and loyalty to the prince. The real world is full of injustice and inequality, and we treat knowledge in a more valuable way, but the value we give is money because we think knowledge brings money. But don't you think that we are ignorant and we are living in a very fantasy world? We should actually understand the reality of our society. We are being educated, we have the provisions, and if we have the big heart like the happy prince, we could really make a difference in our society. Anyway, this decision that the swallow makes emphasizes the moral teaching at the heart of the story, while also connecting art with a desire for escapism and for luxury. We study, we go to school and we acquire degrees. Whatever we do in our life, that is the sole reason for that is to escape to the arms of comfort and luxury, to get the life of beauty. But we forget that that is not the only reason that we are born as a human being. We are human because we have that humanity within us, which the happy prince tells us and makes us show. So that is the heart we have. But you can see the old wealthy people around us, they celebrate and feast in warmth. Those without resources suffer in the most unbearable conditions. The prince, of course, opts to sacrifice the very last of his finery golden skin to feed the starving children, and this time the swallow helps him without complaining, which indicates that his moral education, from the beginning of the story to the end, you'll see the transformation of the swallow he will be morally upright and he will choose the right path in his life. The lack of compassion on the part of the government officials shows their cold heart. We can see people around us who takes the leadership role and tells us that they will change everything around us, but year after year things remain the same. Not year after year, we can say more specifically generation and after generation, the political and the social scenario remains the same. Everybody makes false promises, and the main motto of official people or people sitting on those thrones is actually to rule, to get that wealth from the hearts of different people around them, from the commoners. They don't really value the commoners, they don't really see how miserable their life is. Very few people actually come forward to help others without any motto in their life. The laden heart which the happy prince had is a very important symbol of loyalty and love. You will see that all the parts of the happy prince was made of metal and it was molten. But the leaden heart never melts, which shows that if you have true love and loyalty, nobody can melt you. Nobody can make you sway from your path. God, on the other hand, when He sends to bring the most beautiful and important things, the God's servants bring to God the swallow and the leaden heart. So God confirms this value in His final appearance when He chooses to reward both the swallow and the prince with an eternity in paradise. Thus we see the happy prince has so many things to ponder upon. We have to think, why are we born? What is the real cause of our birth? And the show of humanity. One thing always comes in my mind when I read Happy Prince is, in order to make that sacrifice, in order to help people, first we have to help yourself. You have to be something in your life, you have to gain knowledge and be a name in the society. You have to gain that sort of wealth and recognition in the society. In order for you to actually sacrifice those things and do something for the betterment of the society. If you have nothing, it's very difficult to work for the society. So for working for the greater good, sometimes we have to think about ourselves and we have to work on ourselves before we work for others. I hope you like the story, and if you have any comments, you can definitely give your comments in the comment section. Thank you so much for hearing. God bless you. The Happy Prince is one of the very